Son of Giant. That's 67B. And there's three sets of line hairs. There's skinny, wide, and widest. So this in the second of the widest lines. So it's Tanur Abana. And thank Hashem that you're able to learn every day. You're supposed to learn it. Yeah, really. So it's like this, Tanur Abana. Start in a brisa. Ein lai, vein rates lisparnis. Let's say someone doesn't have the means to support himself, but he also refuses to take tzedakah. So how do they convince him to take tzedakah? So what they do is, they tell him that they're giving him a loan. And then and then they tell him that it was a gift. Fine, you don't have to pay it back. That's the Reb Meir. Reb Meir's words. The Chachamim say, first they give him as a gift. And then they give him a loan. The Gemara asks, as a gift, but you just started saying that he refuses to take. So, Amarava, that was going back before they found out that he didn't want to take. They would start off giving him as a gift. He doesn't want to take it, then they would give him as a loan. So my only question is, I don't know what the machlokes here is then. Both of them are saying that to give him a loan. Maybe the Chachamim don't conclude that you don't take the loan back. The mayor was saying that you don't collect the loan afterwards. The Chachamim say you give him a loan and you collect. But at least he has how's he gonna pay it back? I don't know. Okay. No, they only return a loan into a gift. Right. So what it means as you give him a gift means that you offer him a gift, but he refused it. So then you give him a loan. Let's say this is I don't know if this is common. Maybe it is. You have someone that's wealthy, but he refuses to spend his own money. He'd rather starve than to spend his own money. It's common? Okay. People love spending money. I thought it was part of their thing. Okay. He doesn't want to spend his own money. He enjoys it in his savings. So they give him as a gift. And then they go and collect it. The Gemara says they can't go and collect it because then he won't take again. Because he sees that his money is being depleted by this arrangement. It's funny that that's what the Gemara is concerned about. I thought the Gemara would ask, how do they take back a gift? I guess, well, tzedakah is going to come and say, look, you really owe us because you didn't really need it. Amar Rav Papa says, Lachar Misa, what we're referring to here is that they collect it after he passes away. After he passes away, they go to his estate and they collect the tzedakah money that he took because he refused to use his own. Yeah, I would see this more happening in like a welfare sort of thing, where people hide their money and then they collect from the government. Let's say someone has the means, but he doesn't want to spend his own money. You just ignore him. Let's say he doesn't have and he doesn't want to take either. That's what it means, I guess. He doesn't have, he doesn't want to take. So I'm like having masking the toll today. So they tell him like this. This is like they play with him. They say they make believe it's a loan to the extent that they ask him for a collateral. How do we know you're going to pay it back? He doesn't want to take tzedakah either. So they say, no, it's a loan. And to convince him that it's a loan, they tell him that, give me a collateral, give me something that you have that you can collect from. So he'll give them something, and then he knows that it's a real loan. But then they're mindful it's afterwards. But they made it look, they went through the whole, they should be signing documents and notarizing all of that to show that it's a real loan. They tell him you can keep it, afterwards. So. Okay. Tanarabanan. It's there's a brisa here that quotes the pasuk Havei Tavikenu. It means to open your hand to give to him. But what I'm not sure what the word Havei means actually. Havei Tavikenu. You shall surely open your hand. I'm not sure what the root is of that. What do they translate here? You shall open your hand. Yeah, you shall open your hand. Havei Tavikenu. I just don't know the Hebrew, the root of that. Okay. Who is that referring to? This is referring to someone that doesn't have the money to support himself. But he also doesn't want to take. That they give him a loan, and then they tell him that it was just a gift, that it's a gift, it's fine. Tavitanu, what does it mean? You shall, in Hebrew, when you have a double expression, it more intensifies it. You shall surely open your hand. So this is the verb, tavitanu. Open your hand to him. That's what it means. This is someone that has, but he doesn't want to spend his own money. That they give him a gift, and then they collect it from him after he passes away from the estate. Rabbi Yehuda. Some say no. If he has the means and he doesn't want to spend the money, you ignore him. Why does it say the double expression? You say that's not a double expression. The reason the drushes come in because we say that the Torah doesn't ever use an extra word. Say, so there must be a drush in it. Here the Chachamim are saying, no, the Torah does use extra words. The Torah speaks in the language of man, and that's the way people speak. You shall surely open your hand. It's not, what is it? They surely just say, open your hand. No, that's the way people speak, and that's the way the Torah said it.
Often going on how it's loan. People took loans, maybe need to, but it's a deal. Then the government will forgive it.
Why is the government forgiving the loan? What, because they want to be nice? Oh. Uh-huh.
But the people didn't need the loan to start with.
Is there a
No, but this is the case. This is the case.
In history, we've had things like this. Yoipel is basically the Shemitah where the loans get dumb, but that it's coming, and so that's different. That every. But I think they had in Roman history, I forget his name, Solon, one of the Roman Greek. He absolved everyone of all their debt. But he was accused of borrowing a lot of money before. And he said, I didn't actually do that, but my friend did. Anyway, Mar Ukva, I guess that's what everyone's thinking now. How can we get quickly a loan to get it himself? The Mar Ukva Havi Anya B'Shvivusa. Mar Ukva had a poor person in his neighborhood. Davirago Kol Yoima. Mar Ukva, Mar Ukva was the head of the best. He was the head of the best, and he was a friend of Shmuel. He was the Reish Galusa. He was probably a very wealthy man. So he had a poor person in his neighborhood. Avrago Kol Yoima every day. Mar Ukva the Shadi Le'arbazusi B'Tzinura Dedasha. He would put in. He would give him 4 coins. This is it's a coin. B'Tzinura Dedasha in the hinge of the door. I'm not sure exactly how that worked, but he would put it in there must have been a hole over there that he would slip it in. Yoim Echad, but one day, Amar, this probably means the poor person, says, Ezel Echse Manka Avadi Hayutivusa, let me check who's doing this for me. He wants to find out. He's curious where this money is coming from. Who Yaima, one that day, Nagalela Marukva Bay Majosha. Marukva was late from the base medrash. So Asya the Bisabade. So I'm not sure why, maybe because it's dark at night, he doesn't want to go alone. His wife comes together with him to distribute the tzedakah fund. Even the chazyu, the kamatzli leila dasha, he sees that, I guess it means the hinge is moving, the door is moving. Oh, maybe it means that he sees a shadow on the door. I'm not sure what matzli. How they translate matzli leila dasha? Just turning the door. Matzli, they say turning. Okay. I didn't know that matzli means turn. Nafak Basrayu. He ran after them. So Rahot Mekame, they ran away. Aili la atuna davi grufa gnura. They went into an oven that the coals were raked out, but it must have been still hot. Havika miklan kari de marukva. The feet of marukva started to burn. They're hiding in an oven from the poor person that wants to see who was doing them this favor, So Amalu the Bisu, so his wife says, Shkol kara take your feet and step on my feet. The Cholastaite, Marukva feels bad how his wife is protected. Some skutz that she has, but she's protected. He doesn't have that skutz. Amalei, Ana Shechichna Begave de Besa. I'm always home inside the house. Makarva Aniyasi. And the benefit that the poor people get is much easier than when I give them tzedakah than when you give them tzedakah. Because I give them food, ready food to eat. You give them money, they have to go to the store and then have to make a fire and cook it and all of that. So what I give them is better. Hot meals. My kulihai. Why did they take such a big step to hide themselves to go into an oven? It's not a good idea, right? Yeah, we have sometimes this name of it. Better for a person to throw himself into a fiery furnace and not to embarrass his friend in public. Yeah, it could be. Where was this? That in brachas. Okay. Minolan, where do we know this from? Mitamar says it's by Tamar. It says Himutses, that she was being brought out to be burned, and she doesn't say that it was Yehuda that made her pregnant. She says she offers him the option of admitting to the one that owns these items, the staff and the ring and whatever. Okay, new story. Marukva Havianya Bishvusa da Viragla Siduri Abame Azuzi Komala Yemi the Kipuri. There was a poor person in the neighborhood of Marukva that he would send them 400 coins. Wow. Every year of Yom Kippur. Yom Echad, Shajunun Ale Biad Brei. One time he sent it in the hands of his son. He didn't go himself. Also, the son comes, Amar he says to his father, Leitzara, they didn't need it. Says, Amar Maichas, what did you see? He says, and I see that he's pouring old wine. Sounds like they have what they need. He's serving wine over there. Amar Mepanikule, hi. He's so particular. I finu is he doubled it. He doubled the amount, and instead of 400, he gave 800. Because obviously he needs more. He's used to drinking old wine. Or maybe Mizalki means perfume of wine. I'm not sure. He used to use wine for perfume. Oh, so yeah, so it's a perfume. Okay. Ki kanaycha nafshei when Mar Zutra is passing away. I simply chushman of the tzedakah. Just take out my ledger. Let me see how much tzedakah I gave. Ashkach davik siv be shivas alfi dinri sianki. So that it says that he gave 7,000 coins sianki of a certain place. Probably means special coins. Omar Zavda Kalila Borcha Rechikta. He says that's a small provision for a long journey, referring to the world to come, because he didn't prepare enough for his journey to the world to come. Come, this Palgim and mine. He got up and he distributed half his money. Omar says, 1 second. How's he allowed to do that? Rabbi Loi said, Busheskino. We had an institution it was established in Usha. That was one of the places where the Sanhedrin was. She's not allowed to give more than a fifth, more than 20%. Here he gave 50%. When did we say that he's not supposed to give more than a fifth? That's while he's alive, because he may end up needing that money. And then he was giving tzedakah, he ends up taking some tzedakah. What's the point in that? So, but after he passes away, when he's not going to need that, I guess it was on his deathbed, so then he's allowed to give more. Yeah, it's unclear if he had it distributed before he passed away, after he passed away. I'm not sure exactly. Okay. Rabba Havitzayer Zuzi Besudre, Shadi Leila Achere. Rabba wrapped up coins in a handkerchief, in a cloth. He put it behind him. Mamtzi Nafshe Lebeyanya. And he would make himself found by the houses of the poor people. And he would just make sure that trickers, people that were taken, make sure that they didn't take the money, robbers or something. Hey, money. Okay. Rabbi Chanina, Havi Hahu Anya, Davi Ragla Sturley, Arbas is a Komali Sabata. Rabbi Chanina had a poor person that he would send him 4 coins every Friday afternoon. Yemachad, one day, Shadrina Nale Biad the Bisu. Instead of sending it himself, instead of taking it himself, he sent it with his wife. Asai, she comes, Malay, she says to her husband, Leitzara. They obviously don't need the money. She says, my chassis, what did you see? He says, Shami, I heard them saying, what are we going to eat with today? Bitali kesef or bitali zav? We're going to use linen cloths, or we're going to use silk cloths, the silver or gold. That linen or Rashi says linen or they're decorating the table with fancy cloths. Amar, he says, what's happening over here is that for the poor, to give to the poor, there's almost no excuse. You have to provide for the poor. If they call out their help, we don't provide it. But what happens is the fakers come, and they call out. We end up giving them the money, and then there's not enough left for the poor. So the fakers are actually saving us from sin because our money is depleted. We don't have the means. It's sort of like an excuse of how come we didn't support the poor as well because of those fakers. A little bit of a problem here because there's a contradiction in the story. One story, he said, oh, he was so finicky with pouring wine, but then we have to double his allotment because obviously he needs more. Now over here we have him putting out these nice cloths, and we say, oh, he's a faker. It's switched, the story switched. Yeah, but they were using it as a perfume. That was already.
One is with a son and one is with a wife. So maybe maybe with the son, he doesn't want to teach him.
What is it? One was
Involving the son who went, and one's with the wife.
so interesting. Right, that was the other story. The story before was obviously that's what they needed. They were doing this fancy, that's what they needed. We have to provide for them more. We learned before, we learned yesterday that it has to be according to what he's accustomed to. Right. Right. Yeah, that's a discussion if a person has to sell his items before he takes from tzedakah. Not, it doesn't say that he has to. Well, actually, there's a contradiction. We'll see it in the Gemara soon. Right. 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 Daniel had an interesting comment. He said that in the story before, he sent his son. He sent his son to go see, and the son came back and said, obviously they don't need. Then he told his son that no, they need more. We have a trophy over here. And that's virtual. It's just appears in the back. And then when he sends his wife, then he doesn't teach that lesson. Then he says, okay, you're right. Probably, I mean, there's an easier difference. One is something that's much closer to them. It's the wine or the smell in the house or something. Here's the type of tablecloth. That could be a big difference. Anyway. The Tani Reb Chia bar Rav Nidifti, Reb Chia bar Rav Nidifti, so Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha that Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha says, Kol hamala made of minat tzedakah. Anyone that closes his eyes from giving tzedakah, as if he worshipped idols. Over here it says, guard yourself lest there be something in your heart like of idolatry. Yeah, Blial means like something evil, something bad. And over there it says the men of Bnei Blial went out. That's referring to idolatry. The term Blial we find by idolatry, we also find by someone that's not giving tzedakah. So we say that it has that comparison. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Places says that those things are totally extra and it's not even something that would be considered required. I remember there was a guy that needed stuff up. So someone helped him out and gave him some money for his rent. Anyway, the guy happened to comment that he just called the cable company to come install cable in the person. So the guy that had given him tzedakah was like, "What? You don't have money for rent and you're putting in cable?" Like, so he says, "Look, I know the job. That's what I do all day. I need cable." It was a very interesting discussion. He was right. The guy was right. Another guy was right too. I just gave you money for your rent, and now. All right. Oh, it could have been silver. That's interesting. Simple reading of it was that it was using silver and gold utensils. Yeah, and Rashi says that somehow it was tablecloth of linen or silk. Very interesting. Oh, the threads. Okay. Tanarabanan, but in the Brisa, Masami is saying like this doesn't mean that he actually makes himself blind. It means he makes believe he's blind. So Rashi goes. He makes believe he's blind. I guess if it's on a patch or something. I mean, what the heck, stick. Mitzaves fitna, he makes it look like his stomach is bloated, like he's starving. And the kapech es striker. He makes it like his thigh is shriveled. He's taking to get tzedakah. So he won't pass away from the world until he actually has that. We don't take these things. Someone that receives tzedakah, but he didn't need it. So he won't pass away until he actually does need it.
And this also be applied to someone who started collecting tzedakah on behalf of someone who's going to start pocket charity.
That sounds like the yeah, that's a different story. Yeah.
No idea who you're from. I don't know. I don't know who that is.
Oh, right. Yeah. Kanan Hassam. This is Reuven. The next Gemara discusses what you were commenting on before. It was taught in a brisa. In Machai when I say limka space of eskalita shmishik. Let's say there's a person that doesn't have cap, so therefore he's considered poor. He doesn't have money, spending money. He's considered poor, but he does have items in his house. So because he has under 200 coins that he can take from the kitchen or from the charity, and they don't require him to go sell his items to increase the amount of cash that he has, and then to make himself not under the poverty level. They don't require him to do that. The says they don't require him to do that. But Tanya, we have another brisa. That if he has golden things, then they require him to use silver. If he has silver, they require him to use copper. There's no question. There's not a contradiction. Depends if it's a bed or a table, or if it's cups and Ma'ishna cases of karas to light. When it comes to utensils, we say that he doesn't have to sell it. Damar mi'isili, he says, "Oh, I can't use copper." Maybe the bread and the bed and the table also. He says, "It's not comfortable for me. I'm not used to that." Amar Rava braid the Rabba the Mafresha the Kaska. We're talking about that he has a plow that's made out of silver. For that, we say that's pointless. That you have to sell. That's just you don't need a silver plow, like a silver handle, or something. It's just that doesn't make anything better. Okay, what happens over here, according to Rav Papa, is like this. If a person is poor, he doesn't have to sell the items that he has to make himself not poor. He's allowed to collect some tzedakah, even though he has got some, fancy tablecloth and equipment or something. He doesn't have to sell it. But let's say someone already had taken from tzedakah when he really wasn't poor, and then the court finds out about it, and they're coming to collect it back. So then they start selling off those items to collect back. Not referring to what a poor person needed to sell those things that he has from his grandmother or whatever. It's talking about if he took when he didn't need, so then they sell those things. That he had ready cash. Yeah. Yeah, they joke about there's two ways that a person is not considered poor. Either he has a steady income, even though he doesn't have a lot of cash, but he has a steady income, so he's fine. For most people today that don't have savings or whatever, but they get what they need for the month. or they have a savings account. They joke, they asked by the Kaisel, there's always people coming over to you for tzedakah. You over there, so they said, are you obligated to give them? And one of the rabbis said, no, why? They have a steady income. Oh, or a father-in-law. Okay. Okay. The next Mishnah goes like this: Yisayma siyata ima siyasa ima ayachia midaita. Remember, we said that a father can marry off his daughter. Under 12 years old, he can marry off. He takes the money of the kedushin. He can take the get afterwards if she's going to get divorced. Let's say the father passed away. So now we learned that the mother and the brothers can also marry her off. However, she can reject the marriage if she wants. She said that she can just walk out and it's considered like nothing. Mian.
The father doesn't have
She
that.
can't be Mian if the father marries her. It's only if the brothers marry her. Okay. Now, well, the mother and brothers were married her off. Because of they made for her dowry 100 or 50 zuz. She's really supposed to get more for her dowry. There was a Mishnah before that said that a dowry is supposed to be 1/10 of the person's asset, the father's asset. He's supposed to give 1/10 for his daughter's dowry. So they didn't give her that. And when she gets up, when she grows up, she can ask for that. Rabbi Yehuda in his Siyasabasa Rishayna, Rabbi Yehuda says, well, the father maybe was alive for the first marriage. How much did he give then? Whatever he gave then, that's what he'll give for the next one. In other words, we assume that it's a 10, but that's what a person will give. Over here, the money's coming from the estate. The father's not here to actually decide. He can give whatever he wants to give. There's no obligation to give a 10. It's just that was something that was considered normal. So that's what they gave. But over here, if we have an example of what he gave for the first daughter, so then we'll continue that for the second. Yeah. You can. Yeah. Yeah, that's another Gemara. Yeah, no, but that's because the words of the Torah are rich in one place and poor in another. So it's hard. You have to read the whole. You got to read the whole thing to. There are other Gemaras like that. Yeah. What's going on? States established the mother may marry off with her consent, and she can annul the marriage. The marriage is nullified retroactively. Yeah, very good. That was called Mian. Sometimes other money the Hesher Asher Veheni. You can't go by what he gave for the first daughter for the first marriage. This could be he was doing well then, or it could be he was doing wasn't doing well then. Rather you evaluate the property. It doesn't have to do, and in whatever she had, whatever the estate has then, that would be according to the Chacham. Amar Shmuel. Gemara starts off with a statement from Shmuel. It says Laparnasa. Over here, when it says Parnasa, it means the dowry. Laparnasa, what the girl brings in for the husband, the dowry. Shaman Ba'av. You evaluate based on the father. Now, the way Rashi explains it, I assume this is the shot. I didn't look through the other commentaries, but Rashi explains this that it doesn't just mean you evaluate his assets, but it means you evaluate how generous he is. If he's stingy, you're generous, and you have to imagine what this type of person would have liked to have given. Shaman Ba'av, you evaluate based on the person's generosity. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question. The girls are supported. The father passes away, and there's girls that are there that are younger girls that are living off the estate. So they get supported by the estate, and also they also take a dowry from the estate. Kate said, how does it work? We don't look at how generous he would have been. Rather, we look at the estate and we do it based on the exact amount, not at the person's generosity. My love, parnasa sabal. When it said parnasa, that would mean the dowry. Parnasa sabal, what she brings into the marriage. Amrav Nachmi, it's played for parnasa satzma. No, it's talking about her own sustenance. That she gets based on how much she has, not based on the generosity level. I don't know how you measure that. Umar says 1 second, but it then is a double expression. It says honey zainasim as parnasis honey. It says twice. If parnasa can have two meanings. It could mean her sustenance, or it could mean the dowry. If it means the dowry, then it contradicts what Shmuel said. If it means her own sustenance, then it's repetitious. We already said that she gets mezainis. My love, achas panas zabal, achas panas zatzim must mean referring to both. And then it contradicts Shmuel. Gemara says, la idi parnas zatzma. Both are talking about her own sustenance. And we're not discussing at all what Shmuel's comment was about how you have to evaluate the generosity level of the father. We're not doing that. We're not discussing the dowry. We're only discussing her own sustenance. The difference is there's two statements here. It's not redundant. It's her food and her clothing. Mezainas is her food, and Mefarnas is her clothing. Okay. Nah, and it was taught in the Mishnah. There are times in our Mishnah. The money that he was poor and then he gets wealthy, or he was wealthy and he's poor. So you can't evaluate what he gave for the first order and give that to the second, because could be his level change, his tax bracket. Rather, you evaluate what he has right now, and that's how you determine. That's how you determine how much he gets. The Gemara says, "My ani, my yasher." When it said that sometimes the person is rich, something, and then he gets poor, what is it talking about? Inema ani benachasim. If we say that poor means that he doesn't have a lot of money, Usher, wealthy, means that Usher ben Chasim, he does have a lot of money or a lot of possession. Michlal, that would imply the Tanakama Savra, Afilu Usher Beheni, the Mikari Avinama. That would imply that the Chachamim are arguing on someone. They're saying that you can't evaluate based on what he did for the first one, because sometimes he was wealthy and now he's poor. Rather, you have to evaluate what he has right now. Who are they arguing on? The Tanakama. Tanakama, or Rabbi Yehuda, would say that, let's say before he was rich and now he's poor, you're gonna have to give the dowry the way that he was when he was rich, but he doesn't have it. Alesla. What is Rabbi Yehuda thinking that he says that you have to give based on the first one? It doesn't make sense. Because if he doesn't have it, then how do you do that? Elalav ani bedas. Like you saw this coming. Poor means poor in the mind. Oh, you knew that. It means he feels like he doesn't have a lot of money. He's stingy. He has it all invested already. Sometimes the wealthy people, it's all tied up. Well, it's all tied up. Yeah, but that's over here. Poor of knowledge means poor of that he feels that it's all tied up. It's stingy. And Usher is Usher Bedas. And wealthy means that he's generous. The Ketani, and it was taught you evaluate the property according to the Chachamim, even though he's generous, or even though he's not generous, you ignore his generosity level or his stinginess. According to the Chachamim, what we just came out with is that you absolutely ignore the person's generosity level. You said whether he's wealthy, whether he's poor, that doesn't matter to us right now. And when we said wealthy and poor, we meant generous or stingy. And what we're left with is that you just follow how much money he has. See if the Shmuel. You just look at the fact. This is a strong question on Shmuel. Where it says, Hudamak Rabbi Yehuda. You see, Maral talks about this in the Parshat Shema, that a person's wealth is really dependent on his generosity, because the wealth is only what a person is able to spend and give. It's tied up. It's just like a bill. If it's tied up in his mind, it's like a bill. But he can make a lot of money, but if he has a lot of bills, he's not wealthy. So one of his bills is his own insurance company that he has. That he needs his own insurance. He needs to have a certain amount in the bank, or else he doesn't feel confident. So that's another bill. So his wealth is really just what he's able to give. That's it. Right. Okay. Hudamak Rabbi Yehuda D'Tnan started in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer in Hissi Bas Rishayna Yinasin Lisnei Kederach Taslo Yishayna. Shmuel wasn't following the Chachamim. He was following Rabbi Yehuda, where it says you go by his generosity level. Whatever he gave for the first one, that's what you give for the next one. What? The name Halachik Rabbi Yehuda. Why doesn't he just say the Halachik Rabbi Yehuda? That's the way an Amar is supposed to do. Passing like a Tanit to just say that he was passing like it doesn't have to repeat the halacha. Well, it wasn't exact. He would say that this only applies if we would say the Halachik Rabbi Yehuda, this only applies if he actually married off his first daughter. Then we see what he actually spent. But if he didn't have a first daughter to marry off, this is his first daughter, then we wouldn't know. Mas Malan. So Shmuel is coming to tell us, the reason for Rabbi Yehuda is that we follow what we would evaluate his generosity level is. Whether he actually had to make the wedding or he didn't have to make the wedding, you can still estimate what he spends on a kiddush. It's what he would have given for the dowry. And this that it says, why does it Rabbi Yehuda have to say that he married off his daughter? To tell us that what the Chachamim hold, that even though he did marry off, you don't follow that, and you follow just what he has right now, and not his generosity. You ignore the generosity level. Amali Ravaler of Chizda, the Shin Mishim Halachic Rabbi Yehuda. Rava says to Rav Chizda, they say that you say the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Amalei, so Rav Chizda responds, Yehei Rava, it should be the will of Hashem. We call ki hanim mili malaisa tijitu mishmei. That all such good things should be said in my name. Miyama Rava Hachi. Did Rava say this? Something just switched on us here. I thought it was saying that Rav Chizda was the one that passed him like this. Does Rava say this? It wasn't Rava.
The first statement. What Rabbi said to Rav Hizda.
The Rava says to Rav Hizda that you said the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Does
Yeah.
Rava say this? That Rav Hizda says the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda? V'hatanya Rabbi Yomer Baskin Yizenis Menachem Neitel Sisin Achasim. V'amar Rava Hilchus Rabbi. What are you telling me? The halacha like Rabbi Yehuda that you measure the person's generosity level. We have Rava saying that there's a brisa that says Rebbe holds that for the dowry you get a tenth, and Rava says that's the halacha. Halacha is like Rebbe. This is like kasha. Hada amidna, hada lay amidne. This is when we didn't evaluate. When Rebbe says that you take a tenth, that's because we don't know how generous he is. And if you do know how generous he is, then you follow his generosity level. Hakanam mistabra. Also makes sense to say that some Ravada Barava, the Ravada Barava says Maisa, V'nasan LaRebbe Echad Mishnei Maser Ben Achasim. Right, that would be Rabbi Yehuda's view. Problem is that Rebbe said you just give a tenth of all his assets. They said that's because we didn't know his generosity level. And we even have a story that Rebbe gave 1/12. Kashana Dadi. I thought Rebbe says a tenth. That depends if they knew him well then they would evaluate it differently. Shmamina, from this, that it depends how well they know him. They don't know him, the person, for them they just divide it by a tenth. If they do know him, then they can go by the generosity level. So let's leave it over here.
Thank you.